Call the board trustees meeting to order. Before we get started, I'd like to point out that the board's attempt to conform to the local rules for open public meetings. We're going to have two opportunities for public speech. First opportunity comes right after the board's business meeting. It's limited to public comment on action items listed on the meeting agenda. The second opportunity is at the end of the meeting to open a comment on any topic. If you'd like to comment in either session, please submit your request to have. With that, we'll go into introduction of new college employees.
First up, we have
Most people know me. I'm Dawn Weber. I'm the director of advising, and I'm very excited to He has accepted the position of our assistant director of advising, and she transitioned to this role on yesterday, June 17th. But it just so happens to coincide with your 4-year anniversary of the advising center. Rebecca's been with OC quite a while. In 2014, she was an IBEST instructor for manufacturing and electronics. And in 2019, she returned to be in an advising capacity as a first-time engineering faculty advisor. In 2020, she was hired as a full-time student success coach as part of the new advising model in the advising center. She was hired during COVID, and at that time, we had one full-time coach, her, me, and one part-time coach. Everyone heard of me, coach, and her life. And she has been instrumental in training our coaches, and is now going to come along. As a success coach, she has been aligned with STEM pathways to support the students and faculty in those programs. She is instrumental in creating and conducting CPT training for faculty and staff. She coordinates our processes for outreach to independent students. She has established and monitored norms and processes for non-STEM placement. And she served in our CPT and AAR meeting groups as well. And she, like I said, she played a critical role in onboarding, training, and mentoring our new coaches. She has a master's degree in geography. She was employed as a software engineer working at a large scale systems integration. She worked as a graduate admissions counselor at the University of Denver. She taught high school mathematics for different countries, Nepal, Saudi Arabia, and Vietnam. She is a talented artist, has had numerous galleries exhibits, and she was an avid traveler. She literally walked across Spain for 45 days on Expedia to Santiago. And she said she did that because she was looking for the meaning of life, but it never came to the meaning. Yeah, so like everyone, well, and he is going to be leading our student alert program here. So she's already done a lot of research, she's ready to go, and we're very excited about implementing student alert here in the start. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just go from here. If you'd like me to walk across Washington and do a survey on student alert volunteers, I'd be happy.
We have that on paper. Well, probably a new employee, but welcome to this position. And so we have the Dean Reese McDermott.
Good evening, board members and my colleagues. It's my pleasure to introduce 3 new team members of the Business and Technology, Information Technology Inspectors Division. The first is Mark Regan, and they're all attending the Civil Facility Mark has 20 years of experience as a talented contributor and prepared and serving diverse groups. He is service-oriented and likes to motivate employees to exceed customer expectations while maintaining strong quality and cost controls. Mark was hired as our food service manager for the food services department. Mark attended the foregoing years all over the Florida Department in Portland, Oregon, having worked for years. He talked to us after working with that conference center where he was their food service director for 4 years. Prior to that, he was a sales associate with Food Services of America in Seattle, Washington for 6 years. While there, he was an award for Sales Associate of the Year for the Government Global Territory. Mark also has worked as an executive chef for 4 years at the Twin Lakes Golf and Country Club in Seattle, Washington.
Thank you very much. I can say that.
Good evening. It's nice to meet everyone. I'd just like to say I'm really excited to be at Olympic College and looking forward to getting the program, the food service program back on track from the COVID years. It's been a little bit of a job so far, but I think that the vision is coming clear. And I think everybody's going to be really excited to see what we got in store. Probably by the fall time, I think everything will be in place, and we're really excited about it. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce one of our newest tenure track faculty members, Erin Stoffel. Erin is a native of Mooresville, Pennsylvania, graduated from Virginia College Tech Institute and State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Marketing Management. Upon graduation, she received her certificate as an inside in the supply force through Reserve Officer Training Course program at Virginia Tech. Additionally, she earned a Master of Arts degree in Management and a Master of Arts degree in Human Resources from Webster University. She retired from active duty with nearly 26 years of full service and settled in the Portland area before providing a county. Erin is a management professional with over 25 years experience in organizational leadership. She is an active participant in sharing this experience through education and community involvement, having worked in diverse multicultural settings has allowed her to adapt and apply a positive environment.
Just excited to join the team. I thank you for this introduction. Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, I would like to introduce Nicholas Evergreen. He is our new physical specialist in the division. In Evergreen is an Atlanta native that recently Washington. He is formally trained in video production and has years of experience as a contractor in that industry. He has worked extensively with project management teams and as a team leader in the creative department. Over the last decade, he has worked on a wide range of projects from small nonprofit organizations up to the advertising campaigns of large name brands. He is an adaptable and motivated team member who brings his experience working with diverse teams to bear in our efforts to serve the public and college community. Nick holds a degree in film and video production from Technical College.
Yeah, glad to join the team. Excited to get to work and help everybody out.
Thanks, Nick, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to welcome all of the employees and some older employees to the electric college. You're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but it is not required. So we'll now move into our study session. The first study session of the night, we have a presentation on the Lincoln College partnership with students and women. I want to welcome Dr. Terry Matz to the meeting and providing us with a behind the scenes of our apprenticeship.
I'll provide a short introduction to Dr. Terry Cox. She has been serving as our interim dean of workforce and economic development. Terry's worked in our technical college system for decades. And several different colleges, and was actually originally hired as our director of continuing education, and then stepped into the interim dean role and actually passed away in the fall. So I've been just honored to work with here this year, and I'm really happy to have her presented on the person, which she also supervised. I should have been a part of her office. Thanks, Martin.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really pleased to be up here. I'm really sorry that my colleague, Devin Buck, who's our associate dean at the Shipyard, tonight, that family. And so, you get me, and we've got Bonnie and Brent and somewhere on Zoom, who is our program coordinator out there. He's been in the Shipyard for a long, long time. Beautiful ever. Right. So a little bit of history. The first mention that we have in the yearbook that PSNS puts out of the year is that we started awarding credits, 45 credits for the degree for students in the apprenticeship program or people in the apprenticeship program in 1925. So basically our college is doing that with a contract with the Shipyard. We have a unique model, and it's unique in that the classes are embedded as part of the apprenticeship. And students don't complete the classes, they don't complete their apprenticeship. Most apprenticeship models, the classes are kind of extra above and beyond their work that they do as their apprenticeship pathway. And so most of them are federal requirements. Students want their journey part, not necessarily a degree. The main thing is really interested in having people have the opportunity, but and so they want them to have both the degree and the apprenticeship at the same time. Every 5 years we do there's an RFP that goes out and we keep the contract. Coming up next year, our current contract runs 2019. So here's a little bit of what our staffing looks like out there. Sorry, that's a little bit small in this room, but we have we have 9 students for every campus, and of course the full-time faculty out there, and then the program assistant. We have the associate dean, part-time faculty. Both he and I started in our roles in roughly the same time. And Dennis is doing fantastic work out there. We have 7 full-time tenure faculty out there. One that's in the tenure process, and one that's in the process of hiring. We have about 22 ads on cities list, and that's for the people that are hired by us. There are also trained faculty who teach and trained right? The trades theory portion of their program is done by faculty who he hires volunteers and are active. And then we only have part-time items that teach critical for the Shipyard. So what do we do? What do we offer? We offer a holistic guidance. It's called, that's what we call it, the Shipyard. This is for somebody who's not in the apprenticeship program, who's working for the Shipyard, but they want to do an apprenticeship or just wants to use professional development. It's a 19 credit certificate. We offer that quarterly. The person has to take that after hours, so so they do their work, in the shipyard for the day, and then afterwards, they come up to the classrooms at the shipyard, and take their classes. And then we have the Associated Technical Arts degree. And so that is, classes in technical design, organizational leadership, business technology, applied physics, and applied math. Those are all taught by our faculty. And then the technical trades classes are then, again, mostly volunteers and the shipyard employees. And then they also have a portion where they go down to the shop and they do their trade. So we wanted to look at some enrollments over time, and that's the numbers. Starting in 2017, we had about 1,500 in the program. This last year, we had about 1,100. I think we might be a little bit less than that this year. But it's a significant number of students. So what trades are they learning, right? We've got the portion of work and then what are the trades? There's electricians, electricators, machinists, composite fabricators, thermal insulators. There's a whole bunch of different trades up here that all the students can take these classes and then you can do this in their theory courses and in their work that they're doing for the shipyard. And this is what they get their journey classes in. And then our degrees, the APA in industrial technical trades. So who can take the programs? So the current employees only of the shipyard. So that's for the helper. You can't take it for outside of actually for none of their programs. You take it if you are not working for government already. So capacity. Current apprentices can take the industrial trades tech degree. And the after hours program is a program they have where they will pay for people to go to school at a variety of locations. But we have some after hours dollars, basically a number of seats built into the contract that we do with them every year. So they have an expectation that they're sending some of their employees to us in that after hours program. These are for people who are maybe post apprenticeship. They want to do it the ORI organizational leadership degree someday. Okay, so how does the funding work? Well, we have a contract, like we said, that we do every 5 years. In it has some maximum credits that they will pay for, so they can aim high, I would guess. I wasn't here for the last contract, but I would guess that how we build these, we put the maximum of credits that we think people might take in these programs. And so for a year, this is actually 2 years of possible credits and dollars attached. So each year is about $3.2 million. In the next slide, you can see each year it goes up a little bit because they build in a little bit of increased tuition and a little bit of increase for other wages. Yes. So there's the contract dollars, and then there's also, if we're using our dollars that would come to these apprenticeship credits from the state. And if you look at between the rate that is specific to 94 for credit. But I think we want to make we are under our band, under our target. We're just getting what we've been funding for. It's not extra funding, but they're just helping us meet our goal.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, that's right. All right, but if we're above our band, there will be another thing. And then these were actual numbers, so, we built those budgets based on really high numbers. Where we expect to, where we expect that we'll not actually ever hit them, because they don't want to come back and do an addendum contracts after we do that. So really what we had in 21-22, based on the rules, we had 484 FTE in the apprenticeship program, 74 FTE in the program, and between the two pots of money that were in, it's about $3.2 million in that year. If it's just for the contract, it would have been 1.68 million. So it's a big contract for the college, it's a lot of students. The facility over at PSNS is very large. There's, 20 classrooms on that floor. Yeah, and all the classes are happening at the same time. The PSNS side has a whole bunch of people that work towards this in the apprenticeship program. Wonderful relationship with them. It was going to be a longer presentation. I know they would have been really happy to Our program is a model across the country for how the Navy would like to do their apprenticeship programs. Because we're earning, their students are earning an APA at the same time. So there's a lot of interest in Virginia and San Diego in trying to replicate something like this in their local area.
Thank you, Gary. Any questions? I think those contracts expire every 5 years.
Yes, yeah. They sent out an RFP, it's a big process, some pages for the response, but we can keep, last time there was, at least one other, group that competed for a contract. The RFP for that.
Gary, how it works when they bring it to the requirement of the job that people have at the shipyard?
If they get into, so it's competitive, to get into an apprenticeship program, there's more applicants than there are slots. An apprenticeship works where you work very closely in the shop, they're working very closely with somebody who's already a journeyman, so there's only a certain number of slots to be trained. So they have to be an employee already. A lot of them have come through our helpful programs, so they have a really baseline for going into the classes that we offer. And then, that answers your question.
Yeah, kind of. So I'm kind of curious why you saw the big drop in enrollment in apprenticeship programs. They correlated very closely with COVID.
Yeah.
And they're controlling this, and you have to wait list.
Yeah, it's, that it goes closely with their hiring. So when they are struggling to hire people in, I think, and I don't know, I wasn't here, obviously, when we were going through COVID, so I'm not sure how much the shipyard shut down or didn't during COVID, but I know that they were having hiring issues still continue today. So anything we can do to help them hire, help our program.
But we can actually go in and encourage people to, I guess, go to work at the shipyard and get the program.
Yes, yes, we can show up at the events where they are advertising that and tell them about our programs as well.
So Terry, are you saying that they start at the helper level?
Not everybody does the help program first. And some people come and work with the shipyard who already have these. So not everybody needs to have a preparatory math, basic skills. So, sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. Those lower level classes that would keep them ready for the apprenticeship classes. Some people are already taking some of the stuff at the apprenticeship program in the bachelor's degree somewhere. So yeah, not everybody comes to do that.
Okay, so some of our students that would like to be in the workforce, is that a way that we can encourage them by going through the helper program if they're not already involved?
Yes, you could, we can encourage them to go and go to an event, a hiring event for the Navy. Or for the shipyard, sorry. You could encourage them to do that, because they have to be an employee first. You can't have anybody come from our campus, from, for
No, I
example,
think
and
that-
how you-
But what I'm asking is there any way we can help them, encourage them to get in a helper program that will know where to be?
Oh, that's a little more tricky because we have very restricted access to anybody outside of our program. Our access is very strictly controlled because it is considered a militarily important site. Therefore, access is, you have to have a badge, you can't bring a camera on. You know, I have to leave my phones in my car when I go down there.
Right, and I understand that, I was thinking of that. I was thinking of the application that I did. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, and that one happens to the, so their staff is taking care of that. You have somebody who's really enthusiastic about the program now. Many of our faculty have come to the but yeah, there's somebody who's very enthusiastic on this Navy side, and so we're expecting next year's increase in the health program. That's that.
And Terry, you said, this is a competitive bid every 5 years. Who's the competition?
No, the conversation was last night, or last time.
I don't know if there are anybody who is, kind of qualified to run programs like this could, provide an application and respond to that RFP that is then proposing. It's one of the things that's, a little bit, tricky about it is that it's not like our local ESNS is awarding that grant. It's awarded out of San Diego. From those who don't necessarily have taken who see being a part of this, will lean into that partnership. And of course, we've worked really hard in partnership with ESNS to provide the best service we can. So we will be very competitive. I think that, I believe that will be the case as well. I have every reason to believe that we can get that contract, but it doesn't stop anybody else from coming in and saying they can do it.
Well, we're certainly,
Cheaply or whatever.
yeah, we certainly would have an
Yes.
inside track and particularly if it's going to work.
I just said I know last time it was an organization, Texas, was very interested in applying, and any community college actually could apply.
I was wondering, Tacoma speaks up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they could. They could. And Brandon also has a presence there. Do you know what they do? Are they thinking different classes?
Not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure they like being very talking about the kind of after hours sponsored, but employees being able to be taking classes with us. I think some of that is taking classes that are part of professional development and stuff, employees and degrees through Brandon or other institutions.
Yeah, we have I don't know if they're still on our campus, they were before the pandemic, but Brandon has an office on campus, they actually primarily serve active duty military, so it's online courses.
And so when this comes up, we're getting in it. Who thinks the need of our response? We
The
gotta,
big team and, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if we get some inside track on who the competition is. We don't assume.
Yeah, I don't, I think it's a privileged process, but I don't expect that you would have, if you be able to see the application or somebody else, but you ask if they would be willing to share that, sure, I'm happy to get back to you with that.
Yeah, I doubt they're gonna share any information on the proposal, but just know who would want to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you, Karen.
Great job, thank
Good
you.
job. Okay, so, with no other questions, let's move on to our next study session. Finally, don't try to adjourn the chair. So for our next study session, we're pleased to welcome Dr. Alicia Nye, who will be providing an update regarding our allied health program. So I think Margaret is going to introduce the topic.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Good evening, Chair and the Board of Trustees. In recent board meetings, there have been presentations about allied health and our health science related programs, achieving the dream and guided pathways, and of course, enrollment and the budget. And then last month's board meeting, the board asked how we juggle all everything that we do. And the quick answer is we don't always juggle it. Some things fall through the cracks and people are exhausted. And we struggle, even just today, you're struggling with positions to fill over others and strategize how to get the other work done. But with all of that, great things continue to happen at Olympic College. Faculty, staff, administrators constantly hustle and get things done. Great things really are happening at this college, and I hope you see that every month. This college is on fire in a good way. The presentation you're about to see is a perfect representation of that. What started with a vision led to a feasibility study, then program mapping, and now what looks like will become a reality. At the last board meeting, the board asked how you could help. And tonight we're presenting the future of this campus, the O.C. Caldwell campus. The board could help us by unanimously supporting this new direction and then helping us figure out how we're going to make it all a reality. That would be a wonderful thing. No pressure. You know this presentation is about health science programs. You also know that across the country, healthcare is hemorrhaging. Nice fun. It's hemorrhaging. Last week, the CEO of Overlake Medical Center in Seattle, I was meeting with him, and he said by 2030, the shortage of nurses across the country is expected to hit 250,000. 250,000 in less than 7 years, that's the shortage. And he also said about 20% of the hospitals in California are expected to close in 2 years. So I just want you to take that in. Huge staffing issues. And at Olympic College, we are very interested in addressing the national need on a local level. So to that end, Dr. Alicia and I is going to give a high-level overview of the new direction of this campus and instructional programs. This will be followed by statements by Mayor Becky Erickson and City Council Member Ed Stern. Dr. Nye, the podium is yours.
Welcome, Board of Trustees, Chair Ekman, and all in attendance here and also virtually. It's a privilege to be here to talk about the next steps moving forward with the expansion and this campus being that housing and healthcare division in general. So I'm excited to present to you next slide. So there's a few objectives I want to broadly kind of give you an overview on. We want to share sort of future allied health programs, what that build out might look like, how we selected these, as well as providing like phase 1 and phase 2, and factors for success, which ultimately leads to funding, and we're supported. So there are some of the reasons why people why allied health, why are we going down this route? It's very expensive. You may notice anything, that's one thing, maybe on this position back in 2019, I heard that a lot. It's expensive. Yes, nursing is expensive. However, there's a great need that we've all talked about. We as community members, we all seek healthcare. That's one thing we have in common. And being able to have folks in those positions leads to access to care. So the shortage directly impacts all of us. Labor market growth is clearly one of the things that we know, and there's a trick there. People are retiring, people are getting out because they're burnout. So we're trying to fill that pipeline. The other thing is because we've gotten requests from community members, from clinical agencies saying we are hemorrhaging, we feel like that. And how can you help us? So that's another reason why we've got definitely requests from our healthcare partners. And then student access to local programs, obviously, is also important. Being on the healthcare equity council with the health department, there's a big push to how can we come together as a collaborative to support our future in healthcare and wellness here in our country. Next slide. So if you look here on the slide, you can see sort of the vision, and it's just phase 1, I feel like vision. But, you can see for the existing building, is that existing building that we are in right now is the gray building. And the new building, the 40 square foot, is in the brown area. So my vision would be that new building would have a clinic on the first floor and potentially even have like a dental clinic as well, where students could rotate through. We could have tons of students coming through there as a part of their program. And then the floors up would have classrooms, simulation, labs, faculty office, and so forth. In the existing building that we're in, the plan is to retrofit, to fit some of these new programs that are coming forward. So that is the plan. My vision would be, and this, I'm taking this from Ed Stern, that we have a daycare center, mentioned that. I'd love to have Mary Erickson talk about maybe potentially having housing, transportation for the campus, even from the Brunswick campus here. We would be able to have wraparound support services for those students that are on campus. That is very important. Next slide. So how did we kind of, again, decide what programs we're going to do? We did a market analysis, looked at labor market demand. I'm going to give a shout out right now to our healthcare outreach coordinator, Susan Lowell. You don't mind standing, and let everybody know who you are. She has been instrumental and key member of not only this presentation, but ongoing support in making this happen. Other colleges offer programs, and so the location is going to be important. Students graduating each year in one of the areas as well, and then clinical support available as well. Next slide. So an area is financial analysis, the startup cost. We're compiling information to kind of say what do you need financially to get these programs going, from equipment to lab space, supplies. Again, how are we going to fit all of these programs? And then looking at operating costs, recurring expenses, accreditation, who we partner with. I was telling Dr. Cavaluzzi, I just got off the phone today with the Washington State Dental Association, who's like begging us to start a program yesterday. So Delta Dental looking at them to help also partner. I have Nix College has got some grant money for them. We're going to be knocking on those doors and getting some funding hopefully to those folks. Next slide. Funding sources available, state and local agencies, the State Board of the CPC expansion funds, city, state, federal opportunities that might present itself, grant and donations, and we listed several that I've already mentioned to hopefully help with this funding. So let's talk about the expansion. So this is our current pathways that I've already presented to the board. We can go on to phase one of our future pathways. So phase one would be 2023-2025. We're looking at some of the first programs to introduce Performance Bridge, maybe Foreign Bridge, into the practical nursing program. It will be a certificate of specialty. And that would be a pipeline, those folks would pipeline right into our veterans, LP, and the DSN program. So again, achieving the dream, building pathways for folks, that's what we're all about. Phlebotomy is another certification that folks that finish the NAC program, the practical nursing programs, the medical assistant program, they can also get a certification in phlebotomy and add on to those skills to help with the community as well. And then the surgical technician, that was one of the first programs that we were asked to bring up. This program would help with definite need and medical imaging, including radiology technician and ultrasound technician. So that's the first phase of the build out. Next slide is phase two. That's 2025 to 2027. There's programs like respiratory therapy program, the dental hygiene, dental assisting, and then EMT and paramedic. We've already reached out to the fire departments to get their intake or perspective of what they think is possible. Next slide. So this just goes over salaries, like how much folks can make coming out of these programs, what the projected growth is, and who has them within other community colleges. So you can see that Amy Foreman, who has an LPN, is doing roughly around $61,000 a year. And you can see the market expands as you get broader outside of 25 miles. There are 480 jobs. And again, this is just a broad stroke through looking at biogas. Next slide. Phlebotomy is about $46,000 a year for the bank. There is projected growth of about 3%. And you can see the jobs as we expand outside of even our own 25-mile radius. Jobs are pretty prevalent in this particular. Several folks already hired those folks. Surgical tech, these folks make about $59,000 a year. There is a sign-on bonus. We looked at that the other day, but $10,000 right now. So you get a sign-on bonus for surgical tech. And right now, this is not a true depiction of the growth. Right now, we have flat because that's what it says in LifePath. But when I talked to Chad Malcolm about this, I said, hey, what's going on in LifePath? We're not seeing that there's growth in this. Oh, I converted those positions with RNs because I can't find them. So this is a little misleading. There is a huge growth in this area. And you can see the community colleges that offer it. And then again, you can see the projected growth in and around Kitsap County. Radiology technician makes about $78,000 a year. Projected growth is about 6%. There are plenty of people who use radiology technicians anytime you get an X-ray. Those people. And then the community college and the surrounding areas that are that do have a program like this. I will say we visited TCC and there's a huge wait list that you cannot keep up with the demand of wanting this profession. And you can see the market is just expanding as well as far as opportunities for positions. Ultrasound technicians, the next, they need around the same amount of money, roughly around 77,000. There is projected 7% growth. Many folks use ultrasound techs. You can see the different colleges on the slide that have this program, and you can see that there is a growth potential in and around this community for these jobs. So that was phase one. We're moving into phase two, respiratory therapy. I've already gotten in contact with the board Scott now that might be a program, and respiratory therapists are like, what kind of help me? So those folks make around $73,000 a year with a 14% growth for this particular program or position, I should say. And plenty of people hire respiratory therapists. And you can see there's not very many that have a respiratory program. And when we visited Seattle Central, they were all for us building this program and actually partnering with them throughout. So they're also part of this process. So you can see the job potential of postings based on a radius here and then out to 25. Next. Dental hygiene, big, anybody wants a job, this is considered a very good job. You almost make $100,000 a year for in-house. And there's a 23% growth in this. And you can see dental offices obviously are recruiting these folks. There's several community colleges that can't keep up. I talked to the Washington State Dental Association, and they don't know how we're going to survive the shortage of this. And you can see who offers it college-wise, and you can see the projected growth in the job market here. Next slide. Dental assisting would be, again, that achieve degree in that pathway. So again, dental assisting right into dental hygiene if they wanted to, again, projected growth. They make about $47,000 a year. There's 11% growth in this. You can see, obviously, dental office using these people, and then the community college actually has programs similar to this. And again, you can see that the job market here is quite in need. Next and last is EMT and paramedic, and this is the EMT and the paramedics can work with. But EMTs make about $40,000 a year, and paramedics can make upwards to $100,000. So the projected growth, I know it looks like a small margin, but talking with the fire department and others, there's tons of postings that are going on for EMTs and paramedics. Myself, already. You can see where you can get hired with a private ambulance or again with local fire departments. And then community college offers these particular, you can see is on the slide. And you can see this is a little misleading again. We talked about this as far as job postings. There's a lot of retirements going on in the fire department in particular. So great job opportunities for them. And EMT would lead into the paramedic again at about halfway or something. Next slide. This looks at the length of time for each one of these degrees, along with how many you projected enroll in first year, second year, and then graduates. I know unfortunately this slide you can't see, but first year 210 additional students, second year we get first and second we 310, and last would be graduating those folks. We're talking with upwards of over 200 students, additional students who will be graduating here, again, sent out to our communities to fill that gap. Next slide is really important because how does this impact science faculty, math faculty, English faculty? All of these folks need prerequisites. So this is a dotted line enrollment increase in Olympic College based on, just health sciences and prerequisites that are involved. So this is going to impact all of, the deans supporting those areas as well as the faculty who are teaching these particular students. So that finishes, I think the next slide is what? Did I do it?
That's very impressive. Thank you. Can we back up to that last slide there? So, trying to make sure I understand what you were saying. And then doing in addition to the, of course, supporting that specialty, there's other courses, general ed, that people would need to take in the college. But we're going to see growth in other areas
Yes.
as well.
Exactly. So, I mean, I know that I think the nursing is expensive, but at the same time, we're a pipeline, science, math, English, all of those, classrooms. So this would just show that there are, all those numbers are courses. So again, 4 courses in the Ian Bridge, you're going to have 4 courses completed in science, math, and potentially English in that before they can get to our program campus. If that makes sense. So,
And that's, and one of the maps, I don't know if you saw that, but there was a third, so the bigger building will go over that, right over there, and the third building will go down there, and would be just for prerequisites.
yeah, like, yeah.
Like good flashing this.
So the one stop stopping campus, we'd like to call it eventually. I'm here to get it all done.
Alicia, what was the time frame again? I don't have my business glasses on.
So the first phase, we would, I'm gonna go back to my slide so I say it correctly. In the phase 1 is 2023 to 2025. And out of that, there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs. And that's, once if I can not sleep, but we'll do our best at hitting that mark, which is now 2 years. Accreditation is what I think I talked to you guys about accreditation. That's what's going to hold us up. Because actually talking to Washington State Dental Association mentioned that's what they're waiting on to get that line for their dental making program is accredited.
Thank you.
And then phase 2, I'm sorry, I didn't finish, Cheryl. Phase 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs, respiratory dental hygiene plus the EMT and paramedic. And that's 2025, 27. So the goal would be by the end of 2027 that we would have launched on these programs. Again, huge sort of lofty goal, but I'm going to work my butt off to try to get that done.
Good on you. We can go back to what you were talking about the facility. So you believe phase 1 and I know there's reconfiguration necessary to this building, but you believe you can fit it in here?
We're hoping to do that, yes. We talked about also using, and I speak uses modular or
Modulars.
more stationary. So So those might be used as well, depending, once we really got it down.
And then the move to phase two is a new building, and I believe that because of your, right up to about 40,000 square feet.
Well, I want to be, but yeah. What's written down?
Actually, yeah, 60 to 80. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, what I mean, but it was really good, not.
I think that's the best organization here.
And that's probably when we would have, when we think about moving over all over. We all want to be together because one of the things about healthcare is it's targeted multidisciplinary. Using more of your resources effectively and efficiently. Using simulations together and things like that.
Well, one of the nice things about the program is, you know, what, 70 or 80% of OC grads stay in that county or in the area. So I mean, it's going to have a huge impact on our shortage locally, but it's also got a much broader reach.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Local problem. So we'll give your home. That's right. That's right. That's great.
So let me ask a harder one.
Okay.
You know, many workforce programs like this, in Holland, lose money
Yeah.
on the course. And I would use maritime example over in Seattle, where in tuition and we have state reimbursement, the college gets $7,000 or $8,000, plus $20,000 a year for students. Do that. And so, you know, it needs to be made up elsewhere. Do we have any specialties that are in this program that fall into the negative economics?
Oh, I know there would be a negative economics, things like radiology, technician, for sure. Things like dental hygiene is gonna have a negative. The bigger programs with bigger equipment. And I was talking to Ian, they were, told me there's Ian that they had and how much it cost. And I guess they had other grant actually. I mean, it's outdated now, right? I mean, it's outdated by the time you get it to only, right? But it does its job. So, yeah, we're gonna,
Well,
I
yeah,
put the grant writer, Chair Ekman, on that list. So grants are gonna be key for this.
well, and I think that's, I also think corporate partnership.
Yeah.
Manufacturing equipment have a vested interest having people trained on their equipment, so I think that's another potential element here. The other thing is, you know, it's getting more recognized, the party knows at the state level, the funding model for the workforce program. It's fixed. You can't be, you know, underwriting these high cost programs, but it's vital, you know, to community workforce and have, you know, other people, you know, subsidize.
Working with legislators here would be key. In the same way that all nursing programs were struggling years ago, the legislature finally figured out that we need to raise the salaries for nursing faculty who want to maintain them. And now they're pushing to make a world of difference.
Yeah, and I mean, eventually I'd like to be able to share, like, when would we start breaking even and making a profit? I don't have that yet, but that is in my head, like, you know, we are gonna see losing money potentially until, you know, certain things are kind of accomplished. But really, that being said, healthcare programs. But I think, again, ultimately, if you think about how it's impacting the prerequisites, the math and science faculty, it will ultimately have a positive impact on this quality of overall.
Do we have Candelario online? I want to make sure he gets a chance to ask any questions. No? Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Sean. Great. Behind me.
You still have,
Oh, yeah, I want to make sure we got questions out of the way, so I'd like to introduce them there next year.
Good job. No, I didn't follow her. This is fair. Maybe continue.
No, I was saying, the father, that when I was in college, we were watching, my reading comments, and not, that college study. and said, no, there's always money for it. And it was a good idea. We'll buy this. This is the way you solve revenue. The revenue driver is investment. You know, when underlying for curriculum, there's going to be necessary that every nurse, educate all those medical professionals. That's going to be law students in this fall. And I couldn't be more excited. And I really couldn't be more excited. The city of Paulsville has been trying to bring better medical services into the kids out county for a long, long time. We worked very hard with Seattle Cancer Care Alliance to get his office here in Paulsville. And that took us, oh my heavens, almost 4 years of energy and effort to get that partnership developed and happen. I happen to be fortunate enough now to be the chair of the Health and Health Care. With Rob Jones retirement or being on, I'm vice chair, so I'm the chair of that board. Working very, very hard with our companies in order to do the comprehensive assessment of medical services. We are so short. I talked about 5 to 6 months. I talked to people about they can't hire. They're only used to that in buildings. They're hiring travelers from all travelers in all over the country finding those spots. It's not just in my life. This is the news of the pandemic, but there seems to be a shortage of medical professionals all over this country. Burnout, frustration, we've all been developed in the last couple of years. Probably they more than most when the pandemic. We need these people. We need to train. And you know what? Our kids, our young professionals, teachers, everyone, we need the opportunity to figure it out. They need that opportunity. We need that opportunity here. So, I'm not going to speak to my city council member Sterling for the council. The council set policy with the city of Colorado. But in my world, this is the best kind of partnership that we have. What we call it producing even necessary jobs in our community in Colorado. And so, we are the partner, and we will stand on our full this time. Whatever it takes, we're going to be there to do what we do. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for kids. For the peninsula, we need these jobs. We need these things. So I want to thank you for this grant. We're going to part of all.
If it's appropriate, Mr. Chair, I'll just speak from here. So I'd like to segue with Mayor Erickson's appropriate remarks. One of her last remarks was the support of the city. There's no question about that. I'd just like to add the support of the city council. I'm trying to wear it tonight. I have my Good College Falls boat shirt that goes back 15 years. And you see the colors blend really well with the official city council of the city. And I think it's emblematic. Who made him chair? Okay. So just a real brief history to explain the enthusiasm that Dr. Cavalucci has been exposed to over the last few years. In the 1990s, this site we're on, including all the commercial development all the way down to Highway 3, constituted the state's first and largest master plan under the brand new Growth Management Act. And we went through a series of very painful land use and SEPA and National Environmental Policy Act rules that stretched all the way to the turn of the century. And in the course of that and creating the 20 acres that constitutes this campus took an undue amount of time. And not many people are aware that the original funding for this, the $12.9 million, was pulled back by the state to reallocate. And the city council and the city interceded and secured, working with Senator then Betty Sheldon, if that name rings a bell, Senate Majority Floor Leader, to secure that funding with Marty Brown, who at that time was the head of the Office of Financial Management, pulled that out of the fire. The building had just begun that we're sitting in, and we were working very hard on the initial fiber optic broadband backbone into the county, working with the Kitsap Public Utility District, Northwest Open Access Network. The architects had not allowed for broadband in the building. It was that new of a technology. We actually blew the whistle on that, went to Dr. Mitchell and said, this isn't going to fly. And without that, there'd be no ITV and the rest of the facilities in the building. Up through now the enthusiasm we have for this proposal. So our history of supporting Olympic College, this site, the development and the potential for our students and our population is undiminished and unbroken. And that's what I would like to speak to. Our enthusiasms at times become very strong, but there's a history to that, Dr. Cavalucci. We feel very proprietary about this in every sense and in every word. Not only can I speak for the City Council's extreme enthusiasm, we've included it in our comprehensive plan and the economic development element. We call it College Town. You might notice the small banners, which become large banners. Thank you, Mayor, up and down the highway. And permitting, that will be the mayor and her staff, but I can speak also to one very vital element, and that is our strong relationship with the state legislature. We have an enviable record of our access and influence and the ability to speak and have them listen. And so in regards to this and the financial resources that it's going to take, I won't speak to the CTC, but I will speak to the legislature in working with the CTC cooperatively to see this come to fruition. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you.
So I guess I'd like to ask each trustee to say what you think about this and what support.
I'm excited. I'm fortunate enough to sit in a couple of meetings, but in Councilman Taylor, and to get 2 to 3 hours of them back to back is amazing. You don't want to get that. And so I'm excited. I hope it's going full force. Alicia, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. This is so needed. We've met with hospitals, we're hearing all around the community that healthcare is essential, and I'm ready.
I would just like to add that I think this is a huge step forward for Olympic College and with the wonderful partnerships that we have. And it's filling a huge need, not only locally, but a national need right now. So I am in full support of this and that we're moving in this direction and hope that we can do whatever we need to do to bring this plan to fruition.
I think there's some cost, I think it's benefit to the college, and I'm in full support of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. I'm not sure I can add to what's been said, so I think you could say you have unanimous support from the framework aggressively.
Yeah.
I like this involvement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gonzalez, would you like to add something?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize. I was having trouble logging in via Zoom, and I just caught the last part. But I can only say I talked to Mr. Cavalucci a little bit, but I highly value the opinions of my colleagues, but I must apologize. I need to get a little bit more information, but if they think it's a great idea, I'm totally on board. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ken, we're, it's only two small children. Well, again, thank you. This whole landmark,
Exciting.
yes. Okay, so we'll move on to some of the more boring parts of the meeting.
Put that right. You said that.
I know. Okay, we're moving into the business portion of our meeting. I guess I'll just go and comments from trustees. I'll lead off. ACT had, we had trustee Tuesday last week, which gave us a really interesting look at the apprenticeship programs offered throughout the state. And that was very eye-opening to me, finding out that a lot of these apprenticeship programs do run at a loss. You know, get half tuition, some of that then has to go back to partner companies. So when we talk about trying to build these programs up in various colleges, it's actually a negative incentive. The more you get, the more you lose. So anyways, something needs to be done about that going forward. But it's very exciting. I hope the trustees have the spring ACT conference hosted by Walla Walla Community College on their calendars. Please let Adam know if you have any questions, you need help with travel arrangements. Jihang Lee, CEO of the National Trustee Organization, is going to give the opening presentation and provide a national perspective on the major challenges facing community colleges. We're also going to get a report from the state board on the state's, they're in the process of updating their strategic plan. They went through a big process in 2020 to issue a strategic plan. You can imagine a few things change. And so they're doing a refresh of that plan. And we'll also get a final report on the legislative session. I guess the last thing I'd add is 2 days ago, the foundation had its annual fundraising event down at Anthony. Many of you were there. Very successful. Last count I heard was over $90,000 for the foundation. So, do we have any other proposals? I've been grappling with things like that.
And also, the meeting that we had with very successful. They were very interested, and I'm hoping that, you know, those partnerships will be for the radical progress as well. Also, I was at the Martin Luther Center yesterday, and they held their health and wellness program in partnership with the Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. And our phenomenal staff, Leonard, was the one that did the amazing food demonstrations, and it was on healthy on budget. And so I'm super excited, and I know this fundraiser is report next month, so I'm not going to steal the thunder from the procurement, but it's funny.
Thank you, Trustee Brand. Okay, Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes, sorry, what was the question?
Oh, I just, personal report, anything you want to talk about the other trustees?
Not at this moment, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to a legislative and more governance support. I guess I'll do that one. The legislature is in the final deliberation. This is the last week. Yeah. And so we don't know exactly where funding will come out. All I can say is that the trustees and presidents have turned the legislative advocacy into a full contact sport. We're making sure that every legislator understands the implications and impacts of less than full funding. One of the biggest concerns is the not full funding for the mandated cost of living increases this time around. And to the extent we don't get full funding for that, college then has to make that up, and we need cuts in other areas. So it's not a good thing. So moving on to finance committee report, the president, or vice president, Ellison will report out later on the month's financials. But trustee Brian and I met with, he and, Angela Hamilton this week. Financials were as expected, and again, go through that. Still struggling with the CTC last year. It really is an impediment to getting good, financial reports. I wish I could say the outlook for a year-term improvement in that was better, but, it's a struggle. I guess the sense I get is that CPC link is improving slowly, but it's going to be a long slog. And the deficiencies in the system are having a major impact on workload, on staffing, and the overall cost of doing business in college at a time when budgets are really critical. So, I think everybody's working hard to try to get some changes that they're going to more resources, but like I say, it's a challenge. One of the ancillary concerns, though, is the inability of the college to do our annual financial plans. And this impacts our requirements to the state as well as to the accreditation. And, for the last, we haven't done our audit in 2 years. And we've been given a pass, and it's not just us, all of the colleges. And, the Office of Financial Management has given the state board kind of a pass up till now due to COVID, linked all of this, but we're beginning to say, that excuse is very little fit. And so there's going to be more pressure to get that done. And I guess we're concerned that we are, Olympic College is in the midst of an accountability audit, which is a separate audit that's done by the state auditor's office. It goes through all our financial goals and everything. And we're the first ones since COVID. And so we've talked to them already about that we don't want to get slammed on the management for a lot of COVID and CDC related things. But we're concerned about that. And and again, accreditation, we've got an accreditation review coming up. I believe tomorrow, okay? Well, I guess we're not going to fix that. But anyway, some concerns. So, CCC okay, and board development, and I apologize, we didn't get a chance to coordinate with all our trustees for these boards. I've got a part through here. Next, we're in the process of finalizing the draft of college and board goals for 2023 and 2024. We're going to present these at our meeting next month, along with a dashboard that Rich London and his team is working on that are going to help us get monthly reports. We're not just going to put goals out there and come back a year later and see what happened. We're going to start seeing monthly updates, and we're going to do this online. So we're going to keep a focus on the goals that out. And I might add, the number one goal for college, you heard about it tonight, is the Allied Health Program. But it's well on our way to that. Okay, and lastly, the DEI, and I don't know.
I'm excited to know we have the DEI, the vice president of DEI in the process, so that's really exciting, and hopeful that we'll be able to see some positive changes here at the college, and it's on board. I'm excited about that. And I also sit on the DEI committee for that, one of the things that during the ACCC, but I'm hoping to bring back some good information on that. And I sit on board of community, so I'm excited about this committee, so more excited.
Great, thank you. Okay, any other items from trustees? Okay, we will move on then to communications from the public, and this is the first opportunity for public comment. And in this section, where we want any public comment that relates to agenda items today. So Adam, do we have any public comment?
Particularly, we have two, public comments that we can open up on prior to meeting. I believe that, you have one.
My name is Steve. It's good to be here again. I was going to tell you a little bit about me so you know who your faculty are, but apparently that's not. So I will skip 2 to 3 things that do relate to that. First is not on your calendar, I wish it was. And that will be a trip to our simulation center sometime. I've given Adam simulation calendar for the rest of the quarter. You can access it with him. In the past, that's not where my passion is. In the past 20 years, when I was in the traditional classroom, every time it was out of call for it. Where's the student? I'm like, no one ever came. That's for 20 years. So, that's what I did in first. Second is, I did see it on the calendar, but I wanted to make sure that you have first invitations to our students. One of my other duties that I'm assigned is to be the faculty advisor for student governance. And they plan a lot of and that celebration of leaving academic environment. It's at 4 o'clock. The nursing students will graduate at 1, and then the meetings at 4. And then I realized we can't probably make this the 3 days. I'm going to but on Saturday, May 20th, which is not going to do that. OT nursing is hosting the Pacific Northwest Communications Simulator Networking event, and it's going to take over the whole section. This is going to highlight all of our simulation technology, as well as new cutting edge VR and XR technology from CIE, and that's what people need. Well, they make a whole lot of airline simulators, but they make all of our simulators. It's great. Want to go let me know?
Thank you. I will just note, by the way, that number one, I'm embarrassed to say, I've been through the nursing simulation center at Tacoma Community College, but not here. Shame on you. I have no doubt.
For that.
Yeah. Okay, and second,
Oh, I just was going to ask her where, you went through the May 20th really quickly. So what is, where?
It's in building 7.
Building 7.
Line Village.
And what was the time?
It's like 8 to 2.
So it's like an open house.
I would treat you as a consensus. From Microsoft, and then we have quite finalized agenda. Then we're gonna have some breakout sessions, and then we're gonna have a showcase the skating for knowledge that we don't have. That and we'll showcase all of that, and then and then
Thank you.
and I just say the beginning ceremony, while probably not on the college calendar, we did receive invites, and I know it's on my calendar. So-
yeah, it was behind that.
Yeah.
No, it's actually on the end of the graduation and.
Okay. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Chair, can we also have, Nicole Leslie, who's going to speak to the recommended policy for the calendar.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to be with you guys today there in person. I taught until 5:30, so just had to rush to my computer. So yeah, good evening, members of the board and President Cavaluzzi. My name is Emerald Leslie, and I want to take just a few moments to share with you about OC's Spring Quarter Art Gallery show, which opened with a lovely reception this past Saturday evening. I'm full-time music faculty member at OC, and I also serve on the Art Gallery Committee for our Spring Gallery show in an effort to represent both the visual and performing arts at OC, as well as the artistic efforts of our local community, we decided on the theme Soundscapes, Music as Art. Our amazing art faculty created pieces inspired by music and constructed from musical instruments. Art professor Marie Weichman particularly appreciated the dilapidated piano that our security officers found recently dumped in a campus parking lot. Several gorgeous pieces currently on display at the exhibit were made from this piano, utilizing elements such as the soundboard and the hammers. Because of the significant impact of OC's art and music disciplines on our local community, Bremerton's Mayor Greg Wheeler was one of the first to arrive at Saturday's reception. I want to apologize for the background noise. I do live on Warren in Bremerton, so it gets noisy. Mayor Wheeler was one of the first to arrive at the reception, and he delivered lovely remarks to the gallery opening attendees. Also in attendance were Municipal Court Judge Tracy Flood and Quincy Square Project Director Katie Ketterer, as well as faculty, staff, and students. As part of the gallery show, we highlighted Bremerton's Quincy Square Project, which will promote art and music in downtown Bremerton. We also had participation from the Music Discovery Center, a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing music to underserved children in our community. As I'm sure you are aware, OC's art and music faculty are well represented in our city government. Professors Marie Weichman and Michael Laughlin both sit on the Bremerton Arts Commission, and I am actually the chair of the Bremerton Arts Commission. As such, we are able to engage with our local leaders and continue to cultivate the deep relationship between Olympic College and our community. We were disappointed to have missed all of you at the gallery opening, and I know you would have appreciated hearing what the mayor had to say. After his speech, I asked Mayor Wheeler if I could share some of his remarks tonight with OC's Board of Trustees and administrative leadership, all of whom were unfortunately unable to attend the gallery opening event. He gave me his copy of the speech right then, and I would love to briefly read some of his comments to you. Now, this is what the mayor had to say.
Okay,
Thank you.
We're out of time here.
Can I give you just a really brief one of his comments?
Sure.
Perfect, thank you so much. He said that it was his honor to celebrate the opening reception, and that he and the city appreciate Olympic College and all of the amazing art, music, and cultural contributions that the college provides to our community. And he said that our music and art programs bring people together, strengthen social connections, and build a sense of community. And he wanted to acknowledge the OC art and music programs and the great work that they're doing to cultivate art and music in our region. And he spoke really just passionately about how the music and art, especially at OC, has the ability to touch the lives of our community members in so many ways. So I really thought that you guys would want to hear the mayor's wonderful comments about our arts programs at OC. I thought they were just very heartfelt, so I wanted to share with you.
Great. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
That's all for the comments I have.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. So we'll move on to the consent items. Looking for approval of the draft minutes from the March 28th special board of trustees meeting. Do we have a motion? Okay, second. For a second, a motion has been made and seconded to approve the draft minutes of the March 28th special board meeting as presented. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, I think, the field is very quiet, folks that are participating online, so you can say your teacher voices.
Okay, moving on to information and action items. Adam, you want to talk about the year-old events calendar?
Absolutely. So, including the board pack this evening is the this month's event calendar. President Kabuki highlighted that there's accreditation at offices that taking place and take place most of the day, and there so in the library the training for all day work. April 29th at 2 p.m. is going to be a tour of the engineer induction ceremony. Very reputable that, we never repeat on the college and student program. We have in May, a couple things to note, Student Appreciation Day will be the 17th and the 18th, we have student report ceremony at 5 p.m. So there. Also in May, as I mentioned, that there's a spring conference with the ACT group that will take place in Walwala, at Walwala Community College. Again, I'm getting short, if you're going to attend, let me know. And I think the last major event is the schedule change based on that ACT conference. Our normal board meeting for the individual month, but the chair can working that back 1 week, and 1 week for saving time, saving money for opportunity for 29 at 5 p.m. Question, actually, one last item, tenure reception. With the board is that the tenure reception date for all of those active members who receive tenure this academic year for May 30th at 5 p.m. on notification.
Thank you, Adam. So moving on to a budget update, the month ending January 2023.
Thank you, Chair Ekman. Angela Hamilton is standing by online to provide the update for this for the month ending February 2023. Angela?
Good evening, Chair Ekman and the other Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
Thank you to everyone who presented today. Yesterday, we met with the Finance Committee to discuss the cash on hand and the operating budget to actuals report of revenue and expenditures for the period ending February 28th, 2023. As you look at the operating revenue and expenditure report, we are at 57% of our budget for revenues and 48% of our budget for expenses. Due to the time, are there any additional questions from the board?
We got it. Yeah, something like yesterday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
President Hamilton, anything you'd like to add? I have to comment, you'll have to put a little.
Yes. No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you, Chair Ekman.
No reflection on the report here. Thank you. Okay, moving on to next information item is the instructional calendar. Adam?
President Conroe, here's explaining the draft instructional calendar information item for
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So it's recommended that the board of trustees set the draft instructional calendars 24, 25, and 25, 26 as an information item. The 24, 25, and 25, 26 calendars, instructional calendars are the provided in the instructional calendar committee, and they've been approved by that. Also, the board of trustees provide the final approval of instructional calendars.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to reports to the board. First report is student government at Olympic College.
You have Mr. Brett Hollander, the government president here.
Thank you.
We can prefer me at the podium. It might be better by the house, but better.
Good evening, Chair Ekman and to the board, President Cavaluzzi. Since my last report, a lot has happened, so it's something pretty lengthy, so bear with me. So first thing on the update is the spin down plan and the data assessment of our survey. Now that we've assessed the priorities of the student body, we have moved forward with our strategic plan of allocating our reserve funds to the projects that students would like to see. The proposal includes renovating the Building 9 locker rooms, establishing gender-neutral bathrooms around campus, placing wayfinding signs around campus with a dependent smartphone app that they could use to locate a map, and then supplementing money to the SNA budget, and provide providing gym memberships to students at both the Shelton and Colesville campuses to mitigate the inability and difficulty for those students to travel to the Bremerton campus on a frequent basis. Thus far, we have worked with the Olympic College faculty, facilities, and relevant staff to draft a floor plan and proposal for the locker room renovation. Excuse me. Selected the locations for the wayfinding signs and started research on the smartphone app. And then talked to local gyms about membership contracts with the college. So far, I've been in contact with Anytime Fitness in Shelton, and then Michael and I talked today about working with Crunch Fitness in Silver Hill to work with postal. And then we established the amount that we like to allocate to supplement the SNA process. And finally, I developed a plan to fund each and every one of these projects with all contingencies defined. From our conversation with contractor, staff, and faculty, I went to college, we are confident that many of these projects will either begin or will be completed by the end of the school year. So very excited about that. Next thing on my update is the SNA budget process for this next fiscal year. The SNA budget hearing committee finished the first phase of deliberations on April 11th. Currently, the committee is wrapping up the scoring request according to the SNA rubric. Once enough scores have been received, the VP of Finance and Operations, Rosie Parker, we'll make various budget scenarios for the committee to deliberate. As part of the SJC spin down plan, there have been conversations about how much to supplement from the SJC reserves. We have talked about up to $800,000. So, requesters will be hearing about their reward amounts in late April. They will have the opportunity to appeal. If there are any appeals, those hearings will be happening in early May. Once the committee decides on the final budget, Rosie will bring forth the 23-24 fiscal year budget to SUC Dr. Passion for approval. Next item is the club update. The Bremerton Club Fair has been canceled due to snowy weather conditions. The Colesville Club Fair was held on February 28th. And this was also impacted by snowy weather, but there will still be some students who attended. The first Club Congress meeting of spring quarter will be held on April 21st at 1. And Kay will also be attending the Shelton Resource Fair on April 19th, representing clubs and SUC. This training will focus on advisor expectations for travel and field trips, event planning, and getting speakers for campus. The second will focus on advisor expectations for meals with meetings, elections, meeting minutes, and club boosters. The third will focus on club budgets and fundraising. The charters for volleyball, fashion, chess, business, and accounting clubs have been revoked due to lack of response from the residents and members of those clubs. Next are ASACC conference in DC, which is short for American Student Association of Community Colleges. So from March 17th to the 22nd, Malika Campbell, Derek, Hunter Richard, Toby Agte, and I went to DC to attend this conference. All in all, it was a fantastic experience. We got to participate in some very informative breakout rooms, specifically a lot of legislative actions, strategic planning rooms, very beneficial for us. And then there's some amazing keynote speakers. And then we also built fantastic relationships with some other community colleges around the country. I know a lot of the California community colleges have well-established student senates, and I've kind of taken bits and pieces from what they've done, and hopefully we'll restructure our student senate to be more effective in the future. And then we also got to talk to the offices of Representative Kilmer, Senator Cantwell, and Senator Murray, and they seem to love what we had to say. As you mentioned with the state legislator, we did talk a lot about financial aid in the Pell Grant, and a big focus for a lot of students around the country is increasing the amount that students get in match inflation. And we hope that some of those initiatives we push in the future. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you. Brian and I were reading here and almost maybe say a very positive thing about the changes that
That's great to hear. I hope so. Next item is their town hall. So was bittersweet, but SGOC, we held our final town hall, in our positions on April 5th. It was nice seeing students there and that were interested in maybe taking our positions, but it was also very sad knowing that we were leaving and on to the next chapter. But no, it was great. We were able to discuss a lot of the things that we've done, stay at federal level legislation, some of the things that we're working on. It seemed like a lot of students were confident in the ability of student government to get things done. So that was good to see. And that kind of goes right to our next thing, which is recruitment. Still early in the process. We have had 2 people apply so far on Handshake. And we are working extremely hard to find replacements for both student government and the student senate. Tomorrow, Derek and I are going to present to one of my classes. And then I have tasked my senators with presenting to their in-person classes as well as including in the introductions to their online classes, will bio what they do and how they can get more involved with student government. So we'll see some people interested in the next couple of weeks. Food pantry update. 350 students have access to the food pantry since last quarter, and Alex, our food pantry assistant, has done a fantastic job at keeping food pantry stocked consistently. We have had a ton of donations, one recently coming from Trustee Brown. Love it. But yeah, we couldn't be more proud of her and the work that she's done and the donations that we received. And it is odd to see a large amount of students come in because we want students to come in, but it's also telling of the situation that I think. But we're fortunate that they know that they have resources on campus. So hopefully we can, if Alex does decide to stay in a position, she can just build on all the progress she's made this year and making that food pantry successful. And then the Barnes Noble Forum. So on March 14th, SGOC hosted and facilitated a forum and questionnaire for possible changes to the Barnes Noble Books bookstore on campus. After the presentation from Barnes Noble Bookstore representatives, students had numerous questions and concerns. Most, of course, which were regarding the costs, accessibility, transparency of the program. One major concern that students have is the opt-out method. I think that they did a good job of answering this question, but still think that students were really concerned with the opt-out program that they offered. This method feels unfair to students. We may not have paid for textbooks in the past or be aware of the changes of their accounts. The consensus of the students is that this program is not equitable, accessible, or cost efficient for the college or its constituents. I don't want to speak on behalf of all students in this particular situation, but I still think there's a lot of questions to be answered on their part, and still a lot of students have concerns. I know we asked 3 times about how it would affect people using the GI Bill or active duty, right? Because I personally use the GI Bill to pay for my education, although I receive separate payment for the books. I don't know if that would affect the way I receive my books or what type of plan I'll fall under with that. So hopefully those are the answers. Sure. And then the final item on my report is the NASPA strategic conference that Rosie and Kaya were able to attend. SGC was lucky enough to be able to attend the NASPA conference in Kansas City, Missouri. Kaya and Rosie, our director of Closest to Your Life and director of finance and operations, were able to take away some key information that could help students in our school to improve how we tackle mental health wounds. Both Kaya and Rosie agree that colleges should value mental health for their students, providing proper resources for students. And I think that was also not just at their conference, but at the ASAP conference was a big part, big conversation with mental health and initiatives that support mental health for students. So we're glad that organizations and institutions have that on their radar.
Excellent report, very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, you guys have just done such a fantastic job. I'm just impressed every time you guys come and present to us, you know what you're doing, so job well done, you guys.
Yeah.
Great job, Shirley.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful, of course. We really-
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I love that. It's great to hear. Thank you.
So I think, the lady, I just had a couple of questions on the report. The locker room refresh, is going to be going on. You presented in your write-up that you were looking for authorization, spending upwards of $1 million, up to $1 million
Yes.
on that. So that's being presented this month as an information item. So I said next month, we're going to bring that back to the request,
Yes.
and when we do that, Dr. Crockett as well, understanding how that project's going to be managed and how the money, construction and all that. You guys are great, but we want to make sure we've got, some people backing out.
Of course.
And projects. And then I guess we're going to see on the budget, the Rosie's working on. A new graduate, I think this all the done. Find your budgets, anyway, on that note, you may have to take a multi-year budget, you come back, you're funding a number of new initiatives here with this money, and I think it's good practice to see are there any implications for spending in the out years. So I know, here you go, another spreadsheet. Great, thank you. Good job.
Rosie, I look forward to the next, hearing. You're going to,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the Washington Public Employees Association Board report.
Chairman, they have no report.
Okay. Faculty Senate report.
The microphone is,
Right here? Okay. All right. I think I can be loud enough for this, although I will tell you, this is the common struggle when you try to teach in a high flex mode, which I'm sure you've heard before, but I'll just say it again. So good evening. It is nice to be up here on the Paulsville campus. I'd like to update you on a few things that the Faculty Senate has been talking about over the last month. So one of the things we did at our last meeting was review a new, I'm not sure whether to call it procedure or policy, but a new process called instructor initiated drop. Jennifer Glazier talked to us about this, and the purpose of this is to prevent fraudulent students from remaining in classes. So not sure if you know this was news to me, but registration received hundreds of fraudulent applications. Yes, I don't know, amazed. People trying to obtain money and then never actually taking classes. They use fake addresses and fake IDs. She said she recently purchased a book on how to spot fake IDs, like we own anyway. So one of the things that faculty can do to help with this is making sure that once our roster has settled down, that students are actually participating. The Department of Education has provided guidance about what participation means, because now that students sometimes are fully online, just logging in and looking at a page doesn't count as participation anymore. And faculty, while Jennifer's team does a fantastic job doing this, there is communication with other colleges across the state. We have this person look out for this. They use fake addresses and homes that are for sale to pretend and make it look like it's a real application. It's mind-boggling, and we can't give money if they're not actually going to remain a student. And so the faculty can kind of be that last line of making sure that they're participating. There is guidelines about if you communicate with your instructor or different things like that counts as participation, but we really need to be mindful about those drops so that we don't release funds in that way. So that was a situation I don't think faculty have thought about before. So we appreciate the work that they're doing in registration, because we don't want to spend time and effort, like we want to serve the students who are actually there. So we want to help with that as well. The other thing was we had a presentation about the early alert system that's being piloted this quarter. Faculty are looking forward to this extra layer of support for students. We want to thank Dawn Weber and her team for working on this and getting this up and going. A lot of people already do this work, but we're excited that this will streamline and focus the support for students and for faculty. We'd also like to thank the counselors and all the other people that will participate in this process. The last thing is I would just like to respond slightly prematurely because of the order of the reports, but to the HR portion of the report about administrator evaluations. I appreciate the clarification and the updates. I would like to say we weren't expecting evaluations to start during their current cycle, even though we are frustrated about the delay that this is taking, but we hadn't received any information about what the plan was going forward. So we look forward to working on this new cycle starting in June 2023. The other thing is we are looking at we have 2 remaining meetings because we meet early in the month. For our 2 remaining meetings, we'll be compiling a wish list of things that we would like for a college bookstore so that will help them evaluate and decide different proposals. And then we are also collecting nominations for faculty awards and for faculty emeritus, as well as organ collections for officers. The last thing I want to say is we also support the fully funding of the COLA, or whatever it is that we call it now, and we have been submitting support through the union in addition to that. So thank you for your support of that, because we'd like that to happen too. And that's it. Thanks.
I just have one. Have you started, how many get frozen this chat? Issue that I do all kinds of things about.
Well, I think a lot of that is coming through the center as far as training and things like that. I think we would work in conjunction with Igor and the student conduct. That would be reported through student conduct. So just beefing up policies, he's been working on some stuff. So we would review that. He's come and talked to us about that and things like that. And then as far as the detection, it's really about training faculty and staff things and how to write stuff so that it's harder for the chatbot to answer it. I know someone, I don't remember in what department, but one faculty member I know asked students to talk about their feelings about a certain thing in their discussion post, and they didn't proofread their chatbot post. And so in the middle, the chatbot said, I'm a chatbot and I don't have any feelings. And the student turned that in the discussion. So obvious. So there's some ways to write things so that, you know, it needs to be, because they will tell you, I'm not a person. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm glad I don't teach English, but it's starting to do math things. And honestly, there's apps that you can take a picture of a math problem and it'll solve it for you. So we've been looking at that too. The joke is that you should invest in whoever makes blue books.
Yeah, right.
We'll be back to writing things in person, I suppose, but yeah. So training for the faculty, support in that area, and then policies for what to do. I mean, it technically falls already under student conduct, but explicit policies about that would be useful.
One of the reasons where, that's an issue because,
you can't prove that it was. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, well, it's good. It's a big deal.
It is. It is. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah.
If you ask it for a reference list for certain disaster, give me all the papers in the last 5 years, or K-12 research on whatever topic, it'll absolutely make them up. They're all fake. That's for a citation. There is an actual term that is called artificial intelligence based references.
All right. So, moving on to the combined administrative report of board of trustees. President Cavaluzzi, you might have provided all.
First, I really want to thank the Board of Trustees for your support, the new direction for this campus. This is a game changer, not just for OC, but definitely for this town and the entire Northwest region. It's going to be huge. There's so many ways to partner with people and organizations now that you've given it green light. We're going to race forward to this. Last Friday, I was on a panel for West Sound STEM, their regional conference. It's at the conference center. It's a group of about 70 plus organizations in the area that are all trying to increase STEM apprenticeship, internships, and careers. And from talking to people about the kind of gauge their interest in increasing public care, it was just, it's like if I had a fire, gotta do it. Is there a way to do it? I'm just grinning, thinking, well, there is a way, but I can't say anything yet. But I did give Senator Rothfuss last week a heads up on what we wanted to do in Fallsville, and she just lit up. I mean, more excited I think now about the next legislative session than this session. Something we can do about it now. And I have met with Federal Representative Eric Kilmer a couple of times in the past, just about a vision to see what's possible. But now we can actually explore federal support and see what we can do there. Next week, some of us are actually going to the commissioner's office for Kitsap County. We're doing a presentation. Dr. Nye will be there and others, and we're doing a presentation for an ask to start the beginning of the remodeling of this building. We're asking for $8.5 million. And they know it. And they have the funds. At least we hope they still have the funds. The next thing I want to tell you about is the academic year is rapidly coming to an end. Maybe not rapidly enough for lots of us, but exactly 2 months from this date is graduation, June 18th. So there'll be 2 ceremonies followed by the nursing training ceremony. So big day. It's all going to be for the first time, I think, in any of our lives. I don't know when it ever happened. It's going to be at the OC Ferguson campus, outside on the green space between the BSC building 10 and then basically administrative building under 5. So on that green space, it's going to be a gorgeous sunny day, 75 degrees, and you're all excited.
And then you have a backup.
Yeah. It's going to be gorgeous Sunday. I'm saying that 75 degrees. You're all invited. Also, you already heard we have our accreditation visit. We have that tomorrow. So we submitted a mid-cycle report and had a peer evaluation in fall of 2021. In February of 2022, we got a letter from Sami Ramaswamy, so resident of the Northwest Commission, reaffirming our accreditation, but also in that letter included 2 recommendations for areas that were substantially in compliance but it needed improvement. Recommendation 1 was to be, and both of them were asking for an ad hoc report, which is what we have tomorrow. So recommendation 1 was implement an effective, regular, and comprehensive system to evaluate the quality of learning at the course, program, and degree levels, both at the institutional level or within the general education curriculum, and use the results to inform academic and learning support planning and practices that lead to enhancement of student learning achievements. Recommendation 2, define procedures for evaluating the alignment and integration of institutional planning and the allocation of resources for achieving the intended outcomes of programs and services with respect to accomplishment of core theme objectives. Both of these we made substantial progress on. So we have a visit tomorrow. It begins at 8 a.m. with a single external peer evaluator, Melissa Dedman from Truckee Meadows Community College. So for recommendation 1, she'll be meeting with the Vice President of Instruction or Accreditation Liaison Officer, Erica Coe, the Associate Dean of Learning Innovation, the Faculty Assessment Leads, Instructional Assessment Council, and Instructional Program Planning and Review, which includes all the instructional leads. So for recommendation 2, she'll be meeting with the Executive Team, the Governance Coordinating Council, the Budget and Finance Council, the Director of Institutional Research, the BPI, and the Accreditation Liaison Officer. Then the day will conclude with a debrief. I'd like to hear what's up. And last but not least, next week, Trustee Bryant, Vice President of Instruction, Martin Cockroft, Vice President of Student Services, Brendan Paga, and I are going to Grays Harbor College to attend the Tribal and College Leadership Summit. And it has been a long time since one summits has occurred. So I'm very excited about it. This is a wonderful opportunity to meet tribal leadership and build new relationships and strengthen existing relationships. They wanted, so maybe people will be poured out next month. Great. Thank you.
Great. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, Mr. Masters, do you have anything to add to your written report? No, nothing to add. Right. Any questions for Josh? I just like to comment, I love the dashboard you're starting, the metrics there. I think it's going to fold right into the larger dashboard that's being worked on. One suggestion is you're putting a lot of statistics out there, and a statistic by itself isn't that useful if you don't have something to compare it to. So we have some benchmarks on what the historical performance, and something that seems system, whatever, just down the road if you start to work after that. I think that's just great. Really appreciate your effort. Okay, no other things. That's okay. Moving on to I'm sorry, it's Kaiser.
Yes. And
Thank you, Chair Ekman. I have nothing to add to my report.
Any questions? Yeah. So, of course, I have one. Many of us can read about the problems with shoreline, and then I'm wondering if we're learning anything from their experience, from our experience.
Unfortunately, we can't learn a lot yet because they can't really talk about an active investigation. The things that I do know, we're already doing something to prevent it from happening to us. So I hope to learn more as they get into it further.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Yeah. Does anyone from the executive team who did not provide a written report have anything they'd like to share as support tonight? Okay. John?
Thank you, Chair Ekman and members of the board. A couple of things I wanted to point out. Today in Kitsap Sun, you'll see an article about the wall shop renovation. So thank you to Terry Cox and Capital Projects Director Jim Gamble, welding faculty Al Kitchens, and Steve Weigel from my office who helped facilitate that forum. And the article, I think it's a nice piece of publicity. I wish they would have also mentioned the precision machining program, which will also be located in that building in addition to welding. Partly because I'm partnering with Workforce and Economic Development, like $20,000 marketing campaign, funding that they have to promote this precision machining and technical. We're leveraging those funds to do a whole suite of marketing campaigns. Also, I would expect to see some Kitsap Sun on the nursing and alcohol expansion program as soon as tomorrow, but certainly we'll try to expect to work with them on a news release that we time with this week.
Thank you.
If I could just really quickly, I know that the board often wants to hear about new positions that we're filling. So we actually have 2 positions on the career page, Associate Dean for K-12 Partnerships, as well as a Career Center Director. And so we're really excited to leverage those positions to really move forward and work with them candidates. So if you know folks who are, movers and shakers in, employment development and the career arena, please forward along those job descriptions. Really like it. We're already seeing a lot of applicants come in, but those are going to close these positions.
Right. So if we could get something right about the commission, I don't think we all know. Thank you.
I'm sure it's all from the perspective. I just want to thank you. I've had a lot of faculty staff who come out and talk about finding ways to school. We're in 19 schools, my program is 19 schools, and they've been fantastic. So I really appreciate that.
That's
We are outreach specialists under Hannah Fulford and Elsa, prior to doing a good job.
And with hands down here, all.
Any other comments? Yeah. Hold on, there is no executive session needed tonight. So, we move to the last, segment of public comment. Do we have any, okay. Great. Anything for the good of the order? The board? Okay, hearing that, this meeting is now adjourned. Good job. Thank you, everyone.